Why are we lazy to do new things which will be of great benefit to our lives, and instead we do something that won't benefit us? How to get out of this carousel of bad habits? How to create new good habits so that we could move on to the life we want? What activity is beneficial for you and which is not can be best judged only by you, according to whether it helps you to move where you want to be in your life or not. This means that the same activity can be beneficial for some and not so much for others. Great example is playing video games. On one hand, we can have someone who plays a lot of games but also makes a living from it. For example, a developer or YouTuber who makes videos and reviews. In this case, playing games partly allows this person to live as they want to. On the other hand, we may have someone who also plays games often, but from a practical point of view, it doesn't bring them any long-term value to their life. Nevertheless, in both cases, gaming is an activity that our body gets used to, because it's a chemical factory that produces a huge amount of different substances based on what we do. Then our body gets used to these substances and becomes dependent on the activities that produce them. So if we now stop doing some activity, after a while, the level of chemical cocktail that the body is used to will drop. And we start to feel the urge to go to do that activity again. This happens because our body developed a tolerance to these substances, which means that the sensitivity of the receptors in the brain to these substances is lowered. And another activity would not produce the required amount of substances. In other words, we would not enjoy it so much. This happens because the body tries to remain in homeostasis, in a state of internal balance of all processes in the body. A good example of this effort of the body to stay in balance is body temperature. When you enter ice water, your body immediately begins to do everything to maintain a constant temperature of its organs. Therefore, it starts shaking. By shaking, it tries to create heat, which is taken away by cold water. But if you'll be exposing your body to cold repeatedly, it will gradually get used to it and become less sensitive to change as the receptors in the brain. Then you can stay in cold water longer. But if you won't go into cold water for a long time, you will have the urge to go because your body is now used to the chemical cocktail it creates when you are there. But in this case, this habit and increased tolerance to cold is very favorable because it increases resistance to all stress factors. This means that we are more resistant to all diseases, viruses, bacteria, and we won't be so easily put out of balance by any situation or someone. This means that it's easier for our body to maintain homeostasis, which has a positive effect on everything in our lives. On the other hand, Creating a tolerance for substances like dopamine, which our body creates when we feel joy, is not so favorable for us, because in order to feel the same joy and enthusiasm as before, we have to increase the amount of substances created, and we will usually achieve this only by performing the same activity more often. That's why we stop enjoying other things. So, if we teach our body to only play video games or be on social networks and expect other people's likes, then we stop enjoying other activities in life. It's similar to drinking coffee. In the beginning, all you need is a bit, but over time the receptors in your brain become less sensitive, so you need more. Therefore, it's better not to drink coffee every day, and it's the same with any activities. There is an old Chinese saying that says "Wu Qi Fan," which means that too much good can also be harmful. Therefore, we should take breaks so that the sensitivity of our receptors in brain would return to normal. And even the way you think is also a habit which keeps your body in the same chemistry. That's why, for example, meditation is so important. It's basically a break for your brain. So, whether the way you think and your habits are positive or negative for you, you have to decide for yourself, according to whether your habits make your life go in the direction you want to go or not. If not, then the first step is to realize what you really want in life and notice what habits prevent you from doing so. Meditation will also help you with that because you change your attention from the outside to the inside, making you realize what self-limiting thinking and beliefs you have to get rid of. When you find out, then during the day you need to consciously pay attention to what you are directing your attention to. If you notice that your attention is on thoughts and habits that are not in accord with what you want in life, then you need to redirect it ASAP to those thoughts and new habits that you want to have. In other words, you need to learn to assort thoughts by feeling. If a thought makes you feel bad, turn your attention to a thought that makes you feel better. Gradually, this way, you will learn to look for thoughts that will make you feel better and better. You simply must not be willing, under any circumstances, to pay attention to what is contrary to your vision of the life you want. This means also refocusing your attention from activities that are not good for you to activities that you know will be good for you. So first, you will have to leave your comfort zone and start doing some activities that you will not want to do.
You don't have to do it. Why would you do it? You don't have to right now. Let's keep it for tomorrow.
Just say to yourself, I know that this new activity that I'm going to do will take me in the direction I want to go in life. And the fact that I'm lazy to do it is just the result of all the habits that I won't let rule my life anymore. And for example, you jump into ice water. By making such conscious decision and controlling what thoughts you pay attention to, you gradually gain control over everything in your life, whether it's your health, finances, relationships, or whatever. And by gradually repeating the new activity and way of thinking, you will teach your body new chemistry until it gets so used to it that you will just have to do it, because you will have now an urge from within that you have to. This is how you teach your body new habits. But you have to take the first step, which is to give this video a like and subscribe.